In a world of endless fandoms, one podcast dares to cover them all. Welcome to Between Two Batcaves, your go-to HQ for everything from comics to the screen and all the IP in between.
Join your hosts, Austin and Jordan, for weekly coverage of the comics, shows, and blockbuster hits that keep us coming back for more. So thanks for hanging with us and being part of the next entry into the Batcave saga.
Hello and thanks for hanging with us today on this episode of Between Two Batcaves. We are your hosts. I am Austin Luke and he is Jordan Brownstein. And today we are doing something a little bit different on the show. We are going to have a little bit more from Jordan in a minute here. But before we do that, if you like what we're doing over here on Between Two Batcaves, please let us know. There is a few ways you can do this, whether this is your first or 42nd episode with us. See here in the show notes, Jordan. Shout out Jackie Robinson. Good call.
Hey, 42.
42. What a great movie 42 is.
Rest in peace, Chadwick.
Yeah, man. I might have to rewatch that pretty soon here. That's a phenomenal movie.
It's a classic.
Anyway, whether it's your first or 42nd episode with us, let us know what we are doing right over here on the show. Few ways you can do that. First, you can follow the pod on the podcast platform of your choice. We're on all of them. Pick one and follow the pod. Next, rate and review the show on that platform. And lastly, share the pod. Share the pod with a friend. If you are watching this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, or anywhere else, first of all, thank you. Second of all, just a reminder to click any and all of the buttons that you need to click. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, share the show. YouTube specifically, this is youtube.com/@between2batcaves. Getting a lot of love on the YouTube channel recently. Thanks for everybody engaging with us over there. It's YouTube. YouTube is a fun venture for us. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Jordan, I know you are too. If you're watching, thank you. Let us know how we're doing. Lastly, just follow us on all of these socials. We're on Insta, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Blue Sky. You can reach us everywhere at Between Two Batcaves, except for Twitter. We couldn't get Between Two Batcaves, so we're at B2 Batcaves.
Close
that
enough.
Is with the number 2. I don't understand why we couldn't have it.
Who had it? Who had it before us?
I don't know. Should we buy it from somebody? Do we need to buy the handle?
We need to start a creator fund so we can buy the handle back.
We can also be reached at between2batcaves@gmail.com. That handles all the program and stuff, all of the plug and stuff. Like I said, If you like what we're doing, please let us know. Jordan, we have an interesting episode today, something we haven't done here before. I have like an interesting way that I'm thinking about this episode that I'll share with you after you let everybody know what we're doing.
Okay, yeah, I'm interested to hear it because I wonder if I kind of think about it the same way. We are kind of in like this transition phase now with the traditionally the kind of content that we cover here. So we're looking to just kind of, figure out what we're interested in right now, what we're thinking about, what's on our minds. And really, so we have a jam-packed Oracle report today, some interesting stuff to talk about there. But after that, we're going to be getting into some burning questions. I think we're calling this episode today the Batcave burning questions segment. But basically, Austin and I have taken some time over the course of this past week, just kind of think about the current state of all of these IP fandoms and the properties that we love and the shows and movies that are coming this year. We put together our hype draft last year, so we've kind of organized our thoughts as to what we're most excited about going into the year. But now we're trying to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally for what's to come. So we're going to go back and forth, just ask each other some questions that are on our minds, pick each other's brains a little bit. I think we've each come up with a handful of questions, and we might have a few special guest questions as well. If you stick around throughout this episode, we have outsourced some of our curiosity to those that are most important to us. Also, I'm curious, how are you thinking about this episode today?
Okay, so I think the way I've kind of like thought about this episode is, we have traditionally like on the show up until this point, like we've been doing a lot of reviews, a
Yeah.
lot of like thought exercises, and like really like we've been finding ways to kind of like flex our creative muscles and like expand upon like the ways that we're thinking about the projects that we're watching and the ways that we're talking about the projects that we're watching, and really trying to like, obviously we're not critics, but like trying to like go and like watch and review these things with like more of a critical lens, which has been a
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
exercise for us.
Yeah.
Today is much different because we've said this before on the show, but like we started this show, not because we think we have anything important to
I see
say,
where you're going.
like not because we think that people need to hear our opinions on Avatar or the MCU or what have it. We started this show because we've been friends for over 20 years and we talk about this stuff all the time. And today is kind of like a peek behind the curtain on like what an average like day or week in the conversation of you and I looks like. This is what we really talk about behind the scenes all the time.
Basically, we're exposing our lizard brains today.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun for people who have been watching and kind of gotten to know us a little bit better through the podcast. People who already know us, obviously, are going to have a lot of fun with this because they already know what we talk about. But people who
Yeah,
don't
that sounds
know
about right.
us quite as well, people who are watchers and listeners, are going to really kind of get a peek behind the curtain today and just see really how our brains function on like a day-to-day basis and the kind of wacky stuff that we come up with and talk to each other about. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm here for it. Let's just get into it. As far as what's coming down the pipe, like I said, we're still kind of in this interesting start of the year transitional phase. We are recording this on Sunday morning on January 18th, which means later tonight. And if you're listening to this episode already, the first episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms has premiered on HBO.
Dude,
The
I'm
new
excited.
Sunday night show. I think 7 episodes, 7 or 8 or so, something like
I
that.
think that's right.
So the next 2 months or so is going to be Game of Thrones. So I am curious to know, any listeners, any viewers out there, are you guys watching Night of the Seven Kingdoms? Do you want to hear us talk about it? Kind of open that up for discussion, because I'm excited for it. I know you're excited for it. We're going to be watching it. We might have to figure out the timing of recordings and stuff, because if we're recording on Sunday mornings, that means that we wouldn't be putting episodes out until like a week after the previous episode aired. But you know what?
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. If the show's good enough, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
Aside from that, like I don't know. The world is our oyster. I think maybe through some questions that we have for each other today, we'll get a better idea of what's to come. But all that to say, it's a brand new year. It's a brand new day. We're excited about what's to come, and we have a lot of questions. So without further ado, I want to get to those questions. But first, we have to apprise ourselves of what has gone on in the world in this past week. Austin, you've been in the muck, so I picked out a few stories here that I think are most important for you to be aware of.
I'll give a little tangent here. Like you said, I'm quite busy at the moment. And so I haven't been kind of like locked in as much on the news report stuff here recently. So guys, first of all, shout out Jordan for holding it down and keeping things going. Because without Jordan, the Oracle report would not be happening. But I remember yesterday,
It's nothing.
after a long week, I finally kind of like tuned back in. I looked at all of the news stories and I just texted you and I was like, oh, dude, things
have
happened this
Yeah.
week. Like some
Yeah.
crazy stuff. So yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, let's get into it. Get into the Oracle report. So first, we are going to be taking a look at something that The Hollywood Reporter broke this past week. Something that's been rumored for a while, but is now officially confirmed, that Kathleen Kennedy is going to be stepping down as the head of Lucasfilm. She will be replaced by Dave Filoni and Lin-Wen Brennan Filoni is a name that, Austin, I know we both are abundantly familiar with. If you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance that you are too. He is currently the president and chief creative officer at Lucasfilm and is, just kind of generally seen as like the heir apparent to George Lucas.
Right.
He's the brainchild of the Clone Wars animated series, Ahsoka. A lot of the Star Wars stuff that we're getting today is from the mind of Dave Filoni.
Yep.
Lin-Wen
Including a lot of the
Brennan.
upcoming stuff. You're
Yes,
saying.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the Mandoverse is kind of Filoni's baby.
Is. Yeah.
The other prong of this new leadership team, like I mentioned, is going to be Lin-Wen Brennan. She's currently the president and general manager of Lucasfilm. She's basically the head of the business side of things. And when I first heard about this story, my mind immediately jumped to the fact that like this is very similar to the setup that DC Studios has with James Gunn and Peter Safran, with James Gunn running the creative side, Safran running the business side. But as I was kind of reading through the story on The Hollywood Reporter, they did point out that this is actually a pretty common leadership structure at Disney subsidiaries. So I think Pixar has a pretty similar setup. There's some others out there too that have like the creative head and the business head. And this is also, these two, Filoni and Brennan, were both Kennedy's recommendations to take her place when she stepped down. So this was like it's being reported as having been like an amicable split, like a mutual decision. And Kennedy's kind of like slow playing her step down. So she's shepherding still the Jon Favreau, the Mando and Grogu movie, and the Sean Levy Starfighter movie. She's still like executive producer, head of Lucasfilms for those projects, but in the near future will be stepping down. So got some other thoughts on this. I read another really interesting article or an interview that Kathleen Kennedy did with Deadline in connection with this announcement, where we got some updates on a lot of news, the Star Wars projects coming down the pipe. Before we get to that, though, initial thoughts on Kathleen Kennedy stepping down as head of Lucasfilm.
Yeah. This is, I guess, like not super like unexpected. I think that kind of in the state that Star Wars is in right now, I think that they're looking kind of to change pace. I think they're looking to move into different territories, a little bit different ground here. And it seems like, Kathleen Kennedy's time, with like the sequel trilogy and things following suit there has come to a close. I think that Lucasfilm and Star Wars is kind of trying to move past that into some uncharted territory and try to regain a little bit of that audience confidence again. And that's going to take some different leadership and some going into some different grounds. The switch up to Dave Filoni is interesting. I don't think it's unexpected. I think that this makes a lot of sense given, how integral Dave Filoni is to Lucasfilm and Star Wars as a whole. Like you said, I mean, he is George Lucas's Padawan. This, I like this because, I'm a majority fan of the things that Dave Filoni has done with Lucasfilm for Star Wars. As such a deep fan myself, I'm a fan of what Dave Filoni does. This comes with a caveat, though, and I know that you have this thought as well, that Dave Filoni is the Star Wars guy. I mean, he is a lore head. He is so deeply steeped into the Star Wars lore. I mean, he literally makes the lore, like he is one of the creators of Star Wars lore. Ahsoka, for example. Ahsoka is a Dave Filoni character. This could be negative for general audiences if Dave Filoni goes too far off the deep end into the crazy wackiness that Star Wars can be. You and I, we would love that. Don't get me wrong. But is it going to sell movie tickets like it needs to? Probably not. So I have trepidations.
Yeah, I agree. I want to save some of my thoughts about the Dave Filoni of it all for our burning question segment because it is actually related to a question that I have. But I want to talk a little bit more about the Kathleen Kennedy side of things because, like you mentioned, she was at the helm for the entirety of the sequel trilogy and all the good and bad that came with that. I think I generally am higher on the sequel trilogy than most people. I
Yeah.
liked Force Awakens. I loved Last Jedi, and I mean, I hated Rise of Skywalker, but like overall, I think I'm a little bit higher. Um, Andor would not have happened without Kathleen Kennedy. Tony Gilroy has been very forthcoming about that fact that, it was Kathleen Kennedy who gave him the creative freedom to do what he wanted to do with Andor.
Yep.
You hear time and time again about studio executives meddling in the creative side of things, derailing what otherwise would have been a really well told story, or trying to get their fingers in the pot too much. That didn't happen here. Kathleen Kennedy gets, I think, a lot of credit for the success of Andor. Um, in connection with this development, I didn't find a direct source, but I did see some of the aggregators on Twitter and stuff like reposting the fact that there was a source saying that Filoni said he doesn't like Andor, or he didn't like Andor at the time it came out. That gets into like, is Filoni the right guy to be leading the helming the ship at Lucasfilm? I don't know. We're going to get into that a little bit more later on, but I just think we do need to recognize that, like, yes, Kathleen Kennedy catches a lot of flack for the failures of the sequel trilogy and like the theatrical experience of Star Wars in the last 10, 15 years, but she did a lot of good too. Um, and I think it's important to recognize that, because without
Yes.
her, there's a pretty good chance that we either don't get one of our favorite shows ever, or it looks a lot different than it actually did.
Yeah. And also, just like without her, I mean, who knows if we would even really have the presence of Star Wars that we have today, for good or for bad. Who knows,
Yeah.
like where the property Star Wars would be? Would we be getting as many projects, or would Disney be willing to give Star Wars as much of a chance as it has without Kathleen Kennedy? Who knows?
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. Let's talk about the chances that Disney is giving to Lucasfilm right now. Like I mentioned, after I read this article in the Hollywood Reporter, I came across an interview that Kathleen Kennedy did with Mike Fleming Jr. at Deadline. And I
Mhm.
would definitely recommend anybody who's interested in this kind of stuff, give this interview a read. It goes into, Kathleen Kennedy's, just her career as a movie producer, what's coming next for her. But for our purposes here, for the Oracle Report, she did spend some time giving some updates on some of these Star Wars movies that have been in or at like pre-production for like varying lengths of time. So first, she was asked about James Mangold's Dawn of the Force movie. She said, Jim Mangold and Beau Willimon, who was one of the writers on Andor, wrote an incredible script, but it's definitely breaking the mold and it's on hold. And then later in the interview, she said, referring to this movie, it's really on the back burner. Um, that tells me we should not count on getting this movie, which is a bummer.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's an unfortunate reality. We've talked about this on the pod before. It's an unfortunate reality that like so many of these projects that we hear about going into pre-production will never actually be made. And it's, that's the other side of us being so tapped in, is that there's going to be things that we hear about that we get excited about that don't coming to fruition. This might be one of them. I think James Mangold, I don't know what he's working on right now, but I think he is still slated to do the Swamp Thing movie for the DCU
I'm
before
pretty
this.
sure. Yeah.
But I mean, she's saying that they've turned in a final script, and it's just, I mean, my read on this is that it's just a matter of when the studio decides if and when it wants to make the movie. Because that would be the next step, I think. Unfortunately, well, I think it's unfortunate, but it seems like they've kind of reprioritized the pipeline for the next sequence of Star Wars movies, because
Mhm.
she talked about Simon Kinberg, who is a writer in Hollywood who wrote on a lot of the X-Men movies. He has writing credits on a lot of the X-Men movies that are not remembered too fondly. I think Dark Phoenix was one of them. X3 might have been another that he
I was
worked
gonna
on.
say, did he do X2? I don't remember.
I don't think he did X2 because X2 was good.
Good.
All that to say, so she said that Simon Kinberg has turned in a 70-page treatment for a new trilogy and is going to be turning in a script, I think, for the first movie in this trilogy early this year. Treatment is kind of basically, it's like I think basically the outline that gets written up before an actual script is written based off the treatment. So seems like he's got a pretty detailed outline of what this new trilogy will look like. And she said, I know that Dave and Lin-Wen, talking about Filoni and Brennan, are very much on board with what Simon's doing, and that would be a new trilogy. Yeah, it sounds like that's where their priority is going forward, because the other movies that she talked about, the other scripts she talked about were scripts that have been turned in by Taika Waititi, who's been, been linked to writing and directing a Star Wars movie, I think, for at least 5 years now. And then also Donald Glover turned in a script on a Lando movie, something else that's been talked about since that Solo movie. She said that both of those scripts are, quote, somewhat alive. So
that's encouraging.
Reading the tea leaves, it sounds like we'll be getting the first movie in a new trilogy written by Simon Kinberg. I would guess probably about like 28 or 29.
2029. I'm throwing it out there. 2029.
Starfighters next year. 29 is probably the new trilogy. And at one point in the interview, she referenced that trilogy taking them through 2030. So
yeah,
I think we're getting the Mando movie, and we're getting Starfighter, and then
they're reworking.
We're going back
over there.
We're going back to
I don't have much to add to what you just said, except for this. I'll say this. Star Wars needs to stop, and Lucasfilm needs to stop announcing things so early. That's it. Yeah. That's all I have for this.
We don't need to know this.
Things so early. We don't need to know a project 4 years in advance. We just don't. Let's cool it. Turn off the jets a little bit. Let's stop announcing things so early in advance, and we won't have this problem. That's it.
Yeah. I would also just like to point out the silence on the Mando crossover movie that's been rumored and the Rey sequel movie. No comments about those two. We can read the tea leaves there. Don't bank on getting those anytime soon.
Lucasfilm they're going back to the drawing board after Starfighter.
Yeah, I think so. Any other thoughts on the current state of Lucasfilm and Star Wars?
Nah.
All right. We're doing more boardroom news today, all right? We're turning over to Variety. This is from an article written by Elsa Keslassi with Variety. No surprise here, but David Ellison and Paramount are refusing to give up in their pursuit of Netflix. The latest stage in their bid for their hostile takeover of Warner Brothers is that they are David Ellison basically has his little crew. They're traveling around the world in a bid to get the EU to kill the Netflix Warner Brothers deal. This article talked about the fact that he and his, quote, delegation have gone to France, Germany, they've been to the UK, and they've been to the European Commission. And they're meeting with, in the example of France, they met with President Macron, the cultural minister of France, and a bunch of other really important people in the French cultural film industry. Basically, David Ellison is going there and basically saying, "Please kill this deal. Please kill this deal. I really want Warner Brothers. Please, I'd be so much better." And all while he's still fighting the deal in the courts here in the United States. What a mess, man. What a mess. David Ellison just reeks of neglected man-child who his daddy, the only form of love that his daddy has ever given him is his checkbook. And his dad is bankrolling his bid now to his hostile takeover bid to take over Warner Brothers. And he's on this little jet-setting trip around Europe trying to get his way, throwing his tantrum. And I just can't stand it. Now I hate the fact that I am now rooting for Netflix in this whole situation.
I was about to say that's the funny part of this. The funny part is Netflix is the hero in this story.
Yeah. Speaking, I mean, this is also, I think, probably tied to what Paramount is like still doing. Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix, came out recently within the past few days and confirmed that Netflix would honor like the current 45-day window for theatrical releases. If the deal goes through, they're saying, if we're going to be in the theatrical business, we want to be in it and we want to win it. This is a slight change, I think, from very initially, that like Netflix doesn't want to release their movies in theaters. Once this like tentative deal was announced, they were saying, well, maybe we'll still do like shortened theatrical windows,
like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, 17 days or something like that. And I was like, okay, 45 days, you got it. So all that to say, we talked about this when the deal was initially announced with Netflix. This isn't going away anytime soon. But holy cow, you should be embarrassed, David Ellison. But I don't think that's an emotion that he's capable of feeling.
That's
shame, embarrassment.
No. Nah, those emotions tend to escape people like that. I echo everything you said. And also just like, I joked and said, like it's funny that Netflix is the hero in this story, which obviously is very like ironic and satirical, but also like, I mean, do have to give credit where credit's due. If they're saying, that they're going to honor this 45-day theatrical window, I mean, that is a step, right? That's like a step towards good grace of like, okay, like obviously like this deal is unavoidable. This is happening. And while we don't necessarily agree with, the deal itself, like if it's going to happen, I would prefer it to go to a studio that's going to at least currently say that they are going to honor, that 45-day theatrical window. I think that does give them a little bit more good grace in the eyes of, us fans.
For sure. Speaking of theatrical windows, we got pretty big theatrical window coming at the end of this year with Avengers Doomsday coming out in December. We've spent some time talking about it over the past few weeks with the series of 4 teasers that have been released since Avatar came out. Oh, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the fact, first of all, that Marvel very proudly has come out and announced that the Doomsday teasers have garnered over 1 billion cumulative views online.
1 billion views.
Billion views. So that's all 4 of the trailers across all online platforms combined. So YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, wherever you're watching it. 1 billion. That's a big number. There was some reporting around this talking about how Marvel sees this as a big success, that they were able to garner this much attention without revealing Doom. And they think this means that people still care about some of these legacy characters, aside from Doom and RDJ. So 1 billion.
Yeah.
Pretty big number.
Yeah. Doomsday's cooking. It's going to cook all year long. I mean, that's it. It's as each and every step, we're going to get more and more from this movie. We're going to get great announcements, great trailers. I'm with you. I think we're going to get a big trailer during the Super Bowl. I
gotta see Doom. Gotta see Doom proper in this Super Bowl teaser. I think
this is just the beginning.
It's too good. That's all I got. Oracle report.
Wait. I got one.
You got something?
I got one thing to contribute, and you already know what it is because I texted you about it. I just want to say that Hans Zimmer has officially been attached to the 2027 Harry Potter HBO Max series, slated for 2027. I'm not sure exact. I don't know if they've said what season it's coming out in, but Hans Zimmer has been attached to compose the score for that show, which I think is really cool. John Williams composed the score for the movies, some classic all-time great scores in that movie. Some really standout tracks in that score.
Do you think that Hans Zimmer is gonna retain the core of the original score, or do you think he's
a little bit? I think he's
gonna
do,
modernize it a little bit, maybe?
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Hans Zimmer is so like dramatically different from John Williams.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting. Like, I mean, I would consider Hans Zimmer like top three working composers today. I think he would probably make my top three list. And I've been listening to him a lot recently because I've been listening to the F1 score and soundtrack, which
I've
I think
heard
is
of it.
great. Yeah, if anybody's watching, you know that that's what's on my mind. So I love Hans Zimmer. I love his stuff. Top three to top five. He's in that range.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So yeah, I think he'll bring like a interesting new like modern twist to it, but also like keeping some of those classical notes.
And it's also good, just like the volume of music. He's gonna have to write a lot more because it's a TV
'Cause it's
series
a
as
show.
opposed to
Yeah.
movies. Yeah.
So I think
So
this is really cool. I think it's a good pick. I would say like honestly, like the only other name that would come to mind for like a series like this would be like Ludwig Göransson.
yeah, and I almost think that he wouldn't necessarily be right for it because I think like I don't know how to put my finger on it, but I think Ludwig is like does. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but I think that
Well,
Hans is a better fit than Ludwig.
but it also like it's weird. Like I don't know if I would have like thought to myself, oh, Hans Zimmer for Harry Potter. You know, it's a very interesting pick.
Agreed.
Although like Inception has some like interesting like kind of like mystical like elements to the sound. I don't know. We can't get too deep into it. That was just a short story.
Yes, we can.
No, because we have a lot of questions to ask each other.
We do. Maybe some of the questions will be about Hans Zimmer.
None of mine are.
All right. Well, I think it's time. I think it's time to get into the questions that are just eating us alive from the inside.
The
They're
first
burning us
ever
up.
Batcave burning questions.
So, as I mentioned before, we have each come prepared with just a few questions to run by the other. It's really just a check-in here. What's on your mind? What's on my mind? Let's just kind of go back and forth here till we've asked everything that we can ask. And if you guys are good and you behave, then we may have just a few special guest questions at the end. So stay tuned for
How are
that.
we going to decide if they're behaving or not? I'm curious. Since we pre-record, at what point do we decide if they're behaving?
We'll know.
Okay, you're right.
We'll know.
You're right. Yep.
We'll know. All right. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I'd say let's just go back and forth. You hit me with one, I'll answer. You kind of give your thoughts, and I'll hit you with one, and let's just go back and forth until we feel like we got a good episode.
All right, let's start it. I'm going to start broad. I'm going to start really broad here. I want to know, and I've been thinking about this a lot. Of the three pillars of our IP hut, DCU, MCU, Star Wars, which of these franchises are you most excited about, specifically in connection with what they're going to be putting out through the end of this decade?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of exciting stuff coming from each of them to varying degrees. They're at different stages in their franchise growth and decay, and I think the offerings are very different from each of the three. So please, like I gotta know. I gotta know, what are you most excited about?
Given the recent Star Wars news, I'm going to knock that one off the list just because I think that they're going to be undergoing a pretty significant process of like reworking and retooling some stuff over there. So I don't think we'll be getting any major groundbreaking things from Star Wars until after 2030. So I'm going to knock that one off the list. Let's see, MCU versus DCU here. So throughout the end of the decade for MCU, obviously we're getting right now Doomsday, Brand New Day, Secret Wars, and lots of TV properties as well. But I'm kind of just thinking of movies at the moment. That'll take us up through 2027, which leaves us with 3 years. So enough time to get into the next saga of the MCU. With the DCU, we have obviously continuing the Superman saga that we have going on with Supergirl, Man of Tomorrow. We have Clayface coming out. I think that we'll be getting Brave and the Bold before 2030. So we'll be getting a DCU Batman. Question, I'm actually, no, I just answered I mean, Robert Pattinson's The Batman does not count towards DCU, right?
Correct.
Okay.
For the purposes of this thought exercise.
You know what? I'm gonna give in terms of excitement, overall excitement, I'm gonna give it to the DCU. I think that uh, I have tons of excitement for the MCU, but it's a different level of excitement. It's excitement for like I'm excited to see them wrap up the multiverse saga, which has had varying levels of ups and downs, and ultimately, like I'm more excited to kind of see what comes next from the MCU, and moving out of the multiverse saga, how we can kind of rework it and kind of bring it back down to a level where everybody has that same sense of excitement that we had during the Infinity Saga. Um, DCU, I'm excited to see what we can play with. I think we're going to be getting some characters. Brainiac, for example, is a character I'm super excited to see coming up in Man of Tomorrow. I think that there's a lot of there's a very big sandbox for the DCU that DC hasn't really played in before, and I'm looking forward to seeing what James Gunn can do with that.
I think if we were asking each other these questions, say in late July, I think my answer would be the same in that I'm most excited for the DCU. But I think sitting here
Mhm.
now in January of 2026, I've shifted back toward the MCU.
That's
Star
fair.
Wars Star Wars is a no for the reasons that we've discussed. I just think the prospects of the stuff that we have coming in the next few years, Mando and Grogu, 15th on my hype list. So, whatever. Starfighter, I think I'm looking forward to, but like not like champion at the bit for. And
Mhm.
then what's coming after that, I don't know.
Right.
So it just like sheer quantity that we have in front of us just isn't enough. DCU, the reason that my answer today is MCU and not DCU, I think is because we talked about Peacemaker at length on this show.
Yes.
We've talked about trailers for Supergirl, what we have coming down the pipe in the DCU in 2026. I think sitting here now, I'm a little bit more cautiously optimistic than like ecstatic about the prospects of the DCU because I just don't know. I don't know what it looks like aside from it just being James Gunn at this
Fair.
point.
Fair.
Um, I'm thinking about the Supergirl trailer, which we talked about both liking, but honestly feeling like a Guardians movie, which I think I think it's still going to be really good. I think we're going to enjoy it a lot, but ultimately it didn't feel as fresh and new as I thought it would be. And maybe that's not fair to judge the entire vibe of the movie off the teaser, but that's what we have at this point. Um, So I'm at this point in like a little bit of a holding pattern with the DCU. The stuff we have coming next year, like super excited for Lanterns. That's at the top of my
Yeah.
excitement list for DCU. Supergirl, looking forward to it. And we talked about Clayface. Like it's not it. We're gonna go see it, and I'm looking forward to it. But it's just when you compare that to what we have on the coming up in the MCU with a Spider-Man movie coming back after 5 years, Avengers after 7 years, two Avengers movies in 2 years, um, the prospect of a soft reboot, getting characters that we love and haven't seen in years coming back, like there's just more to latch on to coming down the pipe in MCU, and also just like the excitement of starting fresh again. Like that isn't
Yep.
that it's something new, and like there's never been an opportunity to do that in a movie franchise like this, to
Yep.
go 20 years
And
and
then restart.
then restart and like pick and choose what you want to keep and then start fresh with something else like that. We never had an experience like that in movies. So that just
Yeah.
like it's going to be interesting to see how that's handled. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where I land. Not to say that I'm not excited for what's coming in DC or in Star Wars, but just like I'm back. I'm back on the MCU hype train after this.
That's
Like
totally fair.
after the Doomsday marketing campaign has kind of gotten underway, it worked. It worked.
I I won't disagree with you. I won't argue with you. I will let you know when I do disagree with you, but I won't disagree with you on this one.
I appreciate that.
Okay. My first question here. Okay, so HBO Max, they've developed a pretty good history of making quality shows featuring kids. that are dramatic, good elements of horror, just really producing like good quality stuff and utilizing a younger cast to its advantage. So here I have three animated shows, all featuring younger casts. One of them is going to be getting an HBO treatment for a live action remake. I'm talking they're rolling out the red carpet, they're giving full HBO budget, they're putting the work into this show. Which one's getting made? Ben 10, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Codename Kids Next Door.
Oh man,
I know.
Ben 10, Foster's, or Codename Kids Next Door. Okay, of the three, I have the strongest nostalgia ties to the first two, to
Ben 10,
Ben
Foster's.
10 and Foster's.
Yeah.
Codename Kid Next Door, though, I feel like that might be the project that best translates to live action.
That's
Because I think
interesting.
something that's so special about Ben 10 and Foster's is that the medium of animation allows you to create these like just absurd, fantastical, imaginary creatures in the case of Foster's, and then aliens in Ben 10, where
Yeah.
I've just seen a lot of live action remakes thinking about like How to Train Your Dragon, where the live action adaptation of an animated creature isn't as amazing as the original animated version. And I just think like there's a way to do an interesting tone for a live action Codename Kid Next Door. And you avoid those problems with the like live action CGI version of say a Blue Regard.
Mr. Beauregard.
For those reasons, and I think also the fact that I have the least sentimental tie, the weakest sentimental tie to Codename Kid Next Door is also another reason why that's my choice, because one of the biggest concerns with live action adaptations of animated projects is like, don't ruin what was already so great. So I don't have that same feeling for Codename Kid Next Door. So lock it in. Let's get those kids in a treehouse.
Okay, Codename Kids Next Door. I love that. I'll give you my answer real quick. I had a hard time with this one because I freaking love Ben 10. Like Ben 10 is my
It's so good.
thing. I love Ben 10. But my pick would have been Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Because imagine like an HBO horror series.
I was just going to say, it would be
Foster's Home for Imaginary.
scary.
It would be scary. And I think that would be obviously like a very far, like it would be a very big change from the original show. But I think HBO Max could like have a lot of fun with that like horror vibe for Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
What was that show that Tom Holland did on Apple TV where he played like the guy who had like mental health issues and
Yep. I can't remember, but
you know
the
one.
Yeah.
You could do something kind of similar to that where the kid's name is Jake, right? Jake and Blue.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like he went through like a pretty messed up trauma as a young child, and his coping mechanism is to create this imaginary friend in this imaginary world to escape from the trauma and the pain of the real world. And then we just really mess up the Gen Z millennials who grew up on this show.
It would be messed. Can you imagine seeing Cheese in live action?
Like straight up, it's like Slenderman.
Terrifying.
Wilt.
Like you just like see him and he's like in a dark closet. He just turns around and it's hot.
How do you do
Pika?
How do you do live action Coco without permanently scarring little kids across the country?
For that reason, I'm picking Foster's. Oh man!
All right,
hit me with your next question.
All right, going back to the MCU, kind of in the same vein of my initial question. I'm Secret Wars set to come out December 2027. For all intents and purposes, will act as a soft reset for the MCU going forward. What is the first project that you want to see come out of the MCU after Secret Wars? And what's the time? Like, how long do you want to wait before that next thing comes?
I think 1 year. I think the next movie should be in 2028. And as much as I would like it to be an X-Men movie, I think it's more appropriate for it to be Black Panther 3. I just got to think like logistically here. Like we gotta have like some resolution to that story. And we've been having a lot of rumors about
Damson
Damson
Idris.
Idris
Yeah.
and potentially getting the recast as Chadwick Boseman moving forward. Whether or not
Do
that
you think
happens, who's to say? But
if they do bring in Damson Idris, do you think it'll be a recast, or do you think they're going to do like an aged up version of T'Challa Jr.?
I think an aged up version of T'Challa Jr., but for all intents and
Yeah.
purposes, that's a recast. I mean, they
Yes,
would be making
yes.
it a recast without
it's
it
a
being
clever
a recast.
exactly. It's
Because
a
they can
clever
literally call him
workaround.
T'Challa.
Yeah.
So I think Black Panther 3 is the obvious best answer. I think, let's go Black Panther 3, and then in 2029, hit us with the X-Men.
I feel very similarly. I agree. Like my initial thought is X-Men, but then I think Black Panther 3 will be so important, like just to get back into the Ryan Coogler Black Panther world. And I think that I think if you do Black Panther 3, so Secret Wars is December 27. Black Panther 3 feels to me like a early summer blockbuster.
I was thinking
So I'd
May.
do like a May slot. I'd
Yep.
do a May slot for Black Panther 3, and then I might do like a holiday slot for
February?
X-Men.
You think
I think
like
I would
December?
want-
Trying to get it
I
in
think I
December?
would want them both in 28.
Okay.
I think, either late 28 or very early 29.
Yeah. So either that
I just-
December or February slot.
Yeah, because I just think I could see it's either for me Black Panther 3 or a Fantastic Four sequel.
Yep.
I think I'm going to go back. I'm going to change. I think I want a Fantastic Four sequel in. We're doing 3 movies in 28. We're doing Black Panther 2 in February. We're doing Fantastic Four
February.
sequel in July. We're putting them back in July. And we're
Yes.
doing X-Men in December.
Buddy,
3
you better
movies.
get Kevin Feige on the phone.
It's time to go. It's time to go.
No, you're
I
not
just-
wrong. You're not wrong.
I think I just think those 3 franchises are where you want to hang your hat for the next
No,
5
totally,
years.
totally. Yep. No, I like that. I like that a lot. I would be very happy if that's how our 2028 looked.
I think you set those 3 up with an Avengers versus X-Men movie on the horizon, say like early 2030s.
Okay. All right, I got another one for you. You're gonna hate this question. All right.
I expect
So
nothing less.
I'm gonna give you 3 trilogies. You have to pick one that's gonna stay the same. It's gonna stay forever in time as it is. It will never be messed with. It will never be remade. It will just be untouched for the rest of history. Remember it how we have always seen it.
Okay.
You're going to cut one. You're going to cut one from your memory, from existence. It does not exist anymore. Everything you know, gone. Totally wiped from history. And then you're going to change one. And what I mean by that is one of them is now up for pickings. It can get remade. It can get changed. However, I'm thinking kind of like in
So I
terms
don't
of
have
like
to-
remake.
Okay, I don't have to specify how it's going to change. Just the fact that it
But
is
like,
going to.
It's going to,
Okay.
like, somebody will probably come in and, like, remake it, and, like, a remake can taint the original sometimes, so
Okay.
you're kind of gambling with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is going to be tough. I
So-
can already tell.
Your 3 trilogies are the Nolan Batman trilogy, the Michael Bay Transformers trilogy, and the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy.
Ooh. Okay. This
I
is tough.
think I know your answer, but I'm curious.
One is etched in stone forever, one is wiped off the face of the earth, and one is subject to change.
Yeah, one is just, like, open season. People can just, like, go in and remake it whenever they want to, you know?
Question for you. In this hypothetical, if for whichever trilogy is eradicated, do movies that come after it that aren't part of the same continuity, but that like are inspired or like a spiritual successor to that original trilogy, are those still around?
So, I mean, I think this would really only apply to Transformers and maybe Raimi's trilogy because you're thinking like Amazing Spider-Man, right? I mean,
Something like that.
I guess like technically speaking, like yes, like those could still be made, but you got to
Okay.
ask yourself like would they be made without the
That's
success
my
of
thing is like, am I doing like Avengers Time Heist? Like, am I just going back in time, plucking the movies out of the time stream, everything else remains the same? Or is it a butterfly effect situation?
I mean, I
So,
would say kind of butterfly effecty because like you got
okay.
to like without the Raimi trilogy, would Garfield's movies ever be made? I don't know, but I have doubts that it would.
Yeah. Or would they be made but look different? Okay.
But again,
All that to
I'm
say,
isolating it. I'm isolating it.
I do think I have an answer here. I think
Okay.
you just have to leave the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy as is. I don't think you
Yeah.
can touch it.
Yeah.
One perfect movie, one perfect movie. I would say like two flawed but like incredible, watershed moments for comic book movies, with Begins and Rises. So we're leaving the Nolan trilogy in place. We are. This hurts. This really hurts. But we're wiping Transformers off the face of the earth. We're wiping. It's the Bay trilogy off the face of the earth.
Yep.
I think that will also save us from the tragedies that were like The Last Night and was Age of Extinction the one
Days of Extinction
with the gorilla with Optimus Prime?
No, that's Rise of the Beasts.
Okay, I like Rise of the Beasts. Age of Extinction was trash. We're wiping Transformers off, and we're opening the Raimi trilogy up for tweaks.
Okay. You know what? I don't
Is that
have
what you
much to
thought?
add to that. That's kind of what I thought, and I think
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you there. I think that that makes the most sense to me. I think Transformers, like I think eventually somebody would come in and try to do Transformers anyway. So
Yep.
I'm cool. I'm totally cool with that list.
And I think like Spider-Man 3, there is a really good movie in there. If you can just
Yes.
get in there
Yeah.
and like
And you
play,
just
like do
fix
some
it. Just
operation,
fix
take some venom here and put it there
it.
and
There.
spread the sand around.
You take the venom, you throw a little sand in it, you mix it up. Yeah, no,
That's my
I'm cool
answer.
with that.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
All right. We'll keep it in a similar vein here. We talked a good bit about what's coming in 2026, a little bit about what's coming in 2027. There are, I would say, three movies right now that we know are slated to come out in 2027 that will top our hype list next year. Those movies being Beyond the Spider-Verse, Batman Part 2, and Avengers Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you is, one of those movies is going to keep its current release slot.
Mm-hmm.
One of those movies is going to get knocked back a year. And one of those movies is going to get shelved. You have to tell me which is which.
You know what? Honestly, no, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Beyond the Spider-Verse is staying in its slot. Doomsday is getting pushed back. Batman 2 is getting shelved.
Okay. I would have a slightly different answer. I think I would switch Spider-Verse and Secret Wars. I would have Spider-Verse bump a year. No, sorry. I would have Spider-Verse stay and Secret Wars bump back a year. And then,
That's what I said.
Unfortunately. Oh, then in that case, I agree.
Thank you.
And Batman, I'm sorry, but like it's the fact that Beyond the Spider-Verse is the end of what is potentially going to be like the best trilogy,
animated
best
trilogy.
best animated, best superhero trilogy ever. Potential.
Yeah.
Secret Wars, you need to do Secret Wars to get to what's to come next.
Yep.
Batman Part 2.
It just has less stakes on it.
Yeah, it's kind of superfluous because we're going to be getting a Batman in the DCU.
Yep.
All that to say, I need this movie to come out.
Oh, yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, when you're giving me
of those three,
of those, I mean, stuck between a rock and a hard place. I got one here. Do you think that at some point in our lifetime we will get a full Star Wars reboot, starting from the Phantom Menace? We're going full recast and going forward. Episode 1 through 6, complete remake. Do you think that we will
Live
get that in
action
our
movies?
lifetime? Live action movies. In our
Yeah.
lifetime. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of time. Hopefully, there's a lot of time left in our lives. So,
I would say definitely the original trilogy. The prequels, less certain about, but yeah, probably.
I think at some point we get a remake. I mean, I no time soon, but I mean, let's 25 years down the road. I mean, I could really see it happening. I think that that's something that's very probable.
So, for my next question, I want to bring us back to our Filoni discussion.
Mm.
My question here, and I don't know if there's a right answer. It's just something I've been wondering about. What, for like these CEOs, these studio executives, what is the right balance between being a lorehead like Filoni and being somebody who doesn't necessarily care or have that same sentimental attachment to the source material, and they just want to tell their own story in that sandbox? So there, for the Star Wars example, I'm thinking of somebody like Tony Gilroy or even like a Kathleen Kennedy, because I don't think she is somebody who was steeped in the lore to the same extent of somebody like Filoni. So I guess the question is, does
Yeah.
being a fanboy help or hurt in the C-suite?
I alluded to this earlier. I think it has more potential to hurt than it does to do good, and I think that you know I think that it presents an interesting opportunity because when you know so much about a subject to the point where like you can literally like create lore that makes sense within like the canon, like you can bring in different elements that are
Yeah.
so cool. You can bring in like this point and this point and this point that is just like so much fun to see come to life, but it's ultimately going to appeal to a very niche set of fans.
Yeah.
And while I think that would be awesome, like if we get like a Darth Revan story from Filoni, like that would be freaking awesome. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like, does it have potential to appeal to the greater audience? Sure, maybe. I think Darth Revan is a very cool character. I think that people could connect with him and his story, and I think it would be a phenomenal movie, visually fantastic. Anyway,
All that to say, we need to get a
ultimately,
Darth
though,
Revan movie.
yes,
That's
yes.
your answer to the
But
question.
also, you have to tone it down. You have to, because at the end of the day, if you're not selling tickets, it doesn't matter, and that sucks. But if you're not selling tickets, it doesn't matter. And if you get too heady into the lore, it's not going to translate to sales.
Yeah. I think the answer here is it depends, unfortunately. I think the answer is that you have to find a balance. Um,
A balance in the
because
force.
perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Um, but like thinking on one end of the spectrum, one extreme, the non-Filoni extreme would be something like the original X-Men movies, where
Mm,
they had such an aversion to the source material, to like the poppy, fantastical comic booky aspects of the source material, that I think it ultimately went too far and harmed the movie in the sense that that these don't even look like comic book characters. They don't feel like
they
comic
went
book
out of their
characters.
way to go against the source
Exactly.
material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you don't want to go that far, certainly. Um, but then if you take it too far in the other direction, I think Filoni at his worst gets high on his own supply.
Yeah.
Um, it's when you don't have somebody there who can say, yeah, that's cool lore, but like, what purpose does it serve in this story that we're telling?
I think a good
Um,
example of that is like Ahsoka, the Ahsoka series. It's
yeah,
a good series, but it's also like super duper lore heavy. Like
yeah,
there's some elements of that show that are very deep into the Star Wars lore that just
yeah,
ultimately like didn't hit for the mass audience.
yeah, yeah, and that's the challenge when you're dealing with a property that has mounds and mounds of history.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just something that is like important to kind of keep in mind in this next phase of Star Wars. And as we think about even, like the DCU, like somebody like James Gunn, who obviously has like a deep reverence for the source material with the DCU, but didn't want to make a Superman movie until he had a personal through line for that story, right? Like he
Hmm.
wasn't going to make this a movie about Superman until he had the idea to tie it into his own feelings and thoughts and history with fatherhood and parenthood and things like that.
Hmm.
So I think that's the right balance ultimately is like I want these people who are stewarding you know, our Batman, our Spider-Man. I want them to have the same kind of love and passion for those characters that we do,
Hmm.
but I don't want them to be hamstrung by it. Like don't be afraid to take risks, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And tell stories that are personal to you because that is ultimately what you need to resonate with other people. Like you need to have like a human element to it. And we'll see with Filoni. We'll see. I don't know.
Yep.
He's done a lot of really great stuff. I think he's gotten his rep has been, I think, tarnished a little bit in the last few years. Um, we'll see where it goes. Just something to kind of think about as we get into this next phase.
Okay. I got a scenario for you here.
I love a scenario.
Okay, so a Yautja has been sent to Earth, specifically New York. The Yautja's coming down with everything. He's got his ship. He's got all of his gear. He's got his cloaking device. I mean,
We're screwed.
full on predator garb. I mean, he's got everything he needs. He's been sent to Earth with 3 targets. His targets are Leonardo, Dick Grayson, and Daredevil, all of which are in New York. My question is, who survives the longest, and do they have a chance of defeating the Yautja?
Leonardo, Dick Grayson, and Daredevil.
Yep.
I hate to say it. They're all screwed. I, I don't think that they're making it more than a day. I'm sorry, but like Dick Grayson, fantastic gymnast, great hand-to-hand combat. He's not taking down Yautja. Daredevil, Daredevil will last a little bit longer, maybe.
Because
He's
I
not
think
lasting.
he'll be able to sense them even when he's
Yeah,
cloaked.
yeah, he will, but he's not lasting. I think Leonardo has the best chance.
Because the sewers, he can use the sewers to his ability
yeah.
to his
The
advantage.
sewers are a big factor here, but again, like he's turning Leo into turtle soup. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm clipping that. He's turning Leo into turtle soup. Okay, so you're of
That's
the
messed
opinion
up.
that none of them are surviving, right? None of
I
them are defeating the Yautja.
no.
Okay, but which one survives the longest?
I think it's Leo. I think it's the
I
sewers.
think it's Leo. I think Leo can survive the longest using the
And
sewers to his advantage.
does he have the help of the rest of the gang?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
It's
So
yeah.
solo. Even still, I think Leo probably lasts the longest. I think Dick is biting the dust within like
Pretty
4
early.
hours.
Yeah.
Matt might make it one night, but sunrise, it's over. And then Yautja will probably spend another day or so hunting Leo down through the sewers.
Yeah. That's what I think it's a time game for Leo. I think Leo can hold him off just using the sewers, but eventually Yautja's going to catch up with him. And as you said,
Oh man.
turtle soup.
Okay. All right. I got a would you rather.
Ooh.
Would you rather have a Mark III Iron Man suit? So the first hot rod one from Iron Man, a Mark III Iron Man suit with the arc reactor, but it only gets 1 hour of charge every 48 hours, and it will affect your electric bill accordingly. Or would you rather have the powers of Monster Girl before Rex fixes her?
Ooh. Okay. So basically, with the Mark III suit, I get to use it for 1 hour every 2 days.
Yeah.
Man. Um. Okay. So Monster Girl, her powers, she de-ages 1 week every time she transforms, if I'm remembering correctly. So
Yeah.
basically, if you use it once per week, you don't de-age, but you also don't age, which could be advantageous because you could also hold off your own aging. Now, if you use it more than once a week, you start to de-age, but when you start to de-age, the monster version of yourself does get stronger. So there's a fine balance there.
You're like, so I've got 7.6 hours for every 14.3 days
um,
until I reach
okay.
peak form.
Okay. Call me crazy. I'm going Monster Girl.
What would you do as Monster Girl?
Okay, so I was thinking about that. I think there's a lot of so you know where I live. I think there's a
Yeah,
lot of
that's true.
potential for like monster girls, like just like strength and endurance.
Stock up on
Around where I
firewood
live.
for the winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like go clear some trails or something. I mean, I think maybe do some ground pounds and like level out some areas of my yard to make it flatter. I think Monster Girl would be pretty sweet. Also, I could just like have some fun and just like turn into like my monster form and like go out into the woods and like trick some rednecks into thinking Bigfoot's real or something. That would be pretty fun. Um,
Yep.
and
I
yeah, I'm going Monster Girl.
I'm going the other way. I'm going with Iron Man suit because then I don't have to commute to work anymore.
Oh, that's totally fair. Totally fair.
Because I only have to go in Tuesdays and Fridays, so I'll get the charge in, and I think I can get to and from work within an hour as the crow flies.
You have just turned
No more easy
the Mark
pass.
III suit into a mode of transportation. That is your commute suit.
That'd be so sick to walk into my office every day and just like have the suit unfold, and I just walk out of the suit in my lawyer suit
and your suit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
Show
total
up to
Stark
court.
move through and through. So
yeah, show up to court.
Okay.
So all right,
I think both
perfect.
of those are good answers. I really do.
I think so too.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna hit you with a would you rather too.
Okay.
Would you rather Doomsday suck or every single one of the DCU entries, both film and TV next year, suck? And when I say suck, I mean we walk out of that theater. Okay, I'm good. I'm back. I'm saying when I say suck, I mean we walk out of the movie theater going, "Oh my gosh, like what just happened?" We are abysmally disappointed.
And so it's either just Doomsday, which means that Spider-Man could still be good, or every single DCU entry this entire year.
Yep. I'm talking like total loss of confidence suck.
That's tough. I mean, I'd probably go Doomsday.
It's hard to say, man.
It pains me to say it, but I think I would probably sacrifice Doomsday first because I think regardless, even if Doomsday is terrible, like a complete failure, they're already committed to Secret Wars. Like that movie,
Yeah,
like they're
that's
not
a good
gonna
point. Yeah.
they're not gonna cancel Secret Wars if Doomsday crashes. But if every DCU entry this year is trash, that would, I think, spell the end of the DCU, and I don't want that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think even though I already said like I'm more excited for what's coming with Marvel in these next few years, I think it's more. I don't know if I want to say it's more important that the DCU is successful in the next few years than the MCU, but I think the prospect of like a year's worth of projects being utterly disappointing would just be like, that would be crippling for us and our enthusiasm going forward in this space.
Yeah. Okay. I'm cool with that answer. Okay. So if I have I think that was your last question, except for Maddie's question, right?
Yep.
Okay, I have like a couple more quick, fun ones that I'm
All
going
right,
to
hit
list
me.
off to you before we get into guest questions.
Let's go rapid
Okay.
fire.
So, congratulations, you have won the game of life. You have beat the simulation. You have made it to the next level. You are greeted by the all-powerful beings who have granted you the ability to be reincarnated into one of these universes: the Invincible universe, the DC Comics New 52 universe, the MCU, or the Tolkien universe. Couple stipulations here.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
You get reincarnated into one of these universes as yourself, a powered version of yourself. You get to have superpowers of some kind within these universes. And in the Tolkien universe, that means that you are either an elf, a dwarf. I'm gonna say you're basically any magical being except for like an orc. You get to be
Okay.
like a light-sided one. Now, you don't get to choose your powers. The all-seeing beings, they choose your powers. So it could completely suck, or it could be awesome. It could be, something that leans you towards, being a hero or towards being a villain. That's up to you, how you use your powers. But they choose what you get to be. You choose the universe. Which one are you choosing?
Invincible, New 52, MCU, or Middle Earth? Invincible, hell no. Absolutely not invincible.
That's totally fair.
I would not have fun living in the Invincible universe. It seems like the world is ending every week. I think I'd probably go Middle Earth.
Middle Earth, dude.
I think as long as I'm getting to avoid, Sauron's return, like probably overall the safest.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting to traipse around New Zealand for the rest of my life, pretty dope. I'd probably, I don't get to choose whether I'm like an elf or a dwarf or anything, right? I just come in
like
as
a hobbit.
I come in as you get to roll the dice. If I come in as a hobbit, that would kind of stink. I prefer elf, but you know what?
Yeah.
I'll take what I can get. Hobbits live a pretty good life.
To be honest with you,
I was gonna say, especially if this is post Return of the King, like Frodo set us up for success. So I'm going Middle Earth. That would be a lovely life, a lovely living. Just smoking my corncob pipe in the Shire.
Something simple about that life that's really appealing to me. I agree.
And
I
you know what?
Middle Earth
like,
or New 52.
There was a period of time in my life where I like made a concerted effort to walk around barefoot because I was jealous of like the calluses that the hobbits had built up on their feet, and I wanted to get to that level.
Be jealous of.
I didn't get there.
Well,
that being said, you know what?
If you beat the Matrix, then you get to. So
all right, lock it in. Middle Earth, give me those hobbit feet.
All right. Okay. Last two quick ones here. Just a couple of fun ones. Okay. A version of FMK, except I'm calling it consensual relations, nuptials, and untimely doom. I've picked 3 fire-based characters to choose. One that you will have consensual relations with, one which you will have nuptials with, and one that you will send to their untimely doom.
Oh man! Okay.
Your options here are Varang from Avatar: Fire and Ash, Johnny Storm from Fantastic Four, and Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh man! This is getting
I think
quick.
the answer here is pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, Varang's kind of got that thing.
You're trying to get a little bit of what Quaritch was getting.
All I'm saying is like I understand. So yeah, Varang, consensual relations. I'm marrying the Johnny Storm at issue here. Which version of Johnny is it?
New one, MCU,
like from the Joseph Quinn.
Yeah.
I'll marry Johnny.
Yep.
He's got the boyish charm, but you know what? This version of Johnny, I think he's ready to settle down.
Also, like you get a family with him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You
yeah.
get the
I would love
fantastic.
to
I
be
mean,
part of that. I would get to
that's
be like
a solid family
a de
unit.
facto uncle to Franklin.
Yeah.
Pretty dope. And yeah, Zuko, you look too little, too late.
That's rough, brother.
Yeah.
Uh,
Man. Okay. Same question to you. I'm guessing you have the same answer.
Yeah, no, that's my same answer.
Okay.
I hate to send Zuko off to his untimely demise,
But
but
Varang, the way that she's looking at us, we don't have a choice.
and Johnny. I mean, Johnny's just
Johnny
got that
learned an
husky vibe.
alien language for love.
Yes, he did.
So.
Okay, and my last fun one here. This could potentially piss off some people in the comments.
Let's do it.
So this will be fun. My last question is, did we grow up in the best era ever for childhood?
Yes.
Let me define this. I think the answer is yes as well.
Yeah.
So we were born in 96 and 97. So we grew up in, we had our early childhood in the late 90s, kind of came around. We got the tail end of like the late 90s and really got into it into the early 2000s, which means that we had the early days of the internet.
Yep.
To the point where like it was advanced enough where like we could play fun computer games. We had like the early stages of like social media before it got out of control and is just like the cesspool that it is today.
Yeah, we got social media when it really was just like you and your friends.
Yeah, like, and it was fun,
Yeah.
we had the early like days of like modern gaming with like the Xbox 360, the GameCube,
PlayStation 2. Yeah.
and even back a little bit, we had like the tail end of the N64, the Nintendo DS, the Game Boy Advance. We had some like awesome gaming systems and like some killer games during that time. We had in my opinion, the golden age of animated movies, straight up.
Yeah.
Period. No comment. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Pixar,
either
Disney.
I would say either the early 2000s or like the 90s into the early 2000s with like those early Disney animated movies like Lion King, stuff like that.
Yeah, but also like you got to think about it, like because I mean Lion King was 94.
Yeah,
came
we
out
kind of
just a
get to
couple years
claim it a
before
little
we were
bit.
born.
Yeah.
So I think, and not to mention, like we still like with all that stuff, like we still had we were outside doing stuff all the time. I mean, Jordan and I grew up in the same neighborhood, and there is a summer where us and like all of our friends in our neighborhood made it a mission to dig a tunnel system in the woods in front of our house, and we did it. We dug a tunnel system in the woods in front of all of our houses. I think that late 90s, early 2000s is like the best era of childhood. I will hear the argument for like born in like late 80s into early 90s.
Yeah, like the Latchkey Kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, I don't know if anybody has it on us. I don't.
I think you're right. I think that we were the last generation to grow up without cell phones in our hands from like an early age. Like I remember when you got your first phone, it was I think like that it was one of those
Ericsson.
weird, the Ericsson. Yeah. I think maybe that was like third or fourth grade, maybe.
No. It was after that, dude. That was after
that?
That was after
like
I
fifth
moved.
Grade, maybe?
That was when I was like 11, 12.
I could have sworn you had one like maybe the last year before you moved. But all that to say, like we didn't have iPhones and iPads in our hands. We had to find ways to entertain ourselves, but we had like Star Wars Battlefront 2 that we could play in our basement. We had the get home from school and go outside on your bike and come inside when the lights turn on. And like you were saying, we had a great era for like animated family movies. And then as we got a little bit older, like into the MCU and Transformers and the Nolan trilogy. So I think we probably got really lucky with when we grew up. I think a lot of people have a nostalgia for like growing up in like 50s, 60s, like New Deal America, like post World War II. There were a lot of issues with our country at that time, and no PlayStation 2. So,
you know what I'll say? I will take a ripstick over a trip to the malt shop any day of the week.
Yeah, man. Ripstick to Dunkin'
Also,
Donuts.
just saying, Ripstick to Dunkin' Donuts and Blockbuster. We still got Blockbuster in there, right?
Gosh, we
So,
did. That
yeah,
was good. Yeah,
yeah. So,
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think we had a good. You
all
want to
right,
get into
guys,
some of
you
our
heard it
guest
here
questions?
on Between Two Batcaves. Late '90s kids had the best childhood ever. No ifs, ands, or buts. Let us know what you think about that. Um, yes, let's get in. I have two questions, one from my mom and one from M, and I believe you have one for Maddie.
Yes. Give me one of yours first.
You want to sandwich it?
Yeah, a sandwich. Give me some bread.
Okay. Okay, so I will go with a question from my mom first. Plain and simple. Who's the better dad, Captain America or Thor?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
Right now, Thor. Right? Like we haven't seen. I mean, is this who would be the better dad or who is the better dad right now?
I think it's who would be. Like,
Okay.
knowing what we know about the characters, who would be?
In that case, I mean, probably Cap.
Oh, see, I don't know, man.
Asgard's a little bit backwards with that.
See, I was about to say that Thor has lost everybody in his life, so all he has left is his kid, and he's gonna love that little girl to no end. And you just hit me. We're gonna get banned from YouTube.
Okay. So yeah, I think Cap.
I do. I agree. I think Cap. I mean, listen. It's hard to say that America's Golden Boy isn't the better dad. Plus, like, sure, I'm sure Thor loves his daughter to no end. But I mean, just through the nature of Thor being Thor, he exposes that kid to some pretty precarious situations.
Yeah. Okay. Got a good question from Maddie here, and it's a yes or no question, but I think it gets at some interesting ideas and more open-ended questions. Her question is, do you think that we will get bored or tired of legendary actors Robert Pattinson and Zendaya?
Is this like, I know there's not a time frame on this question, but it's just kind of just like a generalized, like, do you think we'll get to the point where like we're just kind of over them?
Yeah, I think especially in the context of like all the projects that they are going to be in, like coming out in the next year or two. Like they have a lot of exposure right now. And so I think my answer is no, because I think that they are just like really interesting performers who are always doing something different and something interesting. And I also think that as like celebrities, they both do a very good job of managing their online footprint. But I think like
the projects that they're in.
Yes, they do a very good job picking projects that fit them and give them something interesting to do. And like outside of the work itself, like you don't see them on social media a bunch.
No.
And I think this question gets at like an interesting idea of like the oversaturation of celebrity in like the social media age, especially. And I think the access that we have to famous people these days, like we've never had this much access. And I think that's a big reason why like celebrity doesn't feel the same way that it used to before social media, because like your only connection to somebody like a Tom Cruise or a Brad Pitt would be, you know, like
their movies,
their work, or, you know, if they do an interview on TV or like in a magazine or something. But now you can just like pull up Instagram and see what they're doing at any given moment. And I think like at a certain point you get like the diminishing returns. Like they're just like, they're not as interesting of a person anymore because you know so much about them. I think Zendaya and Robert Pattinson specifically both do a good job limiting that. Like they both, like Robert Pattinson is, I think he's married, at least engaged to be married to Suki Waterhouse, and they have a kid. And so he's got like the family life thing going on. Zendaya, we know her and Tom, like I think they're probably married at this point. They probably had
Yeah.
like a private ceremony, and I think I, if I had to guess, there's a baby on the way coming soon for them. But all that to say is like
Yeah.
I think they do a good enough job of staying out of the public eye and doing interesting work to the extent that like I'm still going to be excited to see them in whatever is coming next.
Yeah, I'll split the answer. I think I could see the argument. I could see getting bored with Robert Pattinson more so than Zendaya. Uh, and I think the reasoning behind that is, for me at least, is I think that like I already said and like you said, they both do a really good job of picking their projects. I think that Robert Pattinson does more so like artsy spells than Zendaya does. And I think I'm not saying by any means Zendaya is not a massive movie star. She is a massive movie star.
Yeah,
But I also don't think she's reached her potential. I don't think that we've seen what maximum movie star Zendaya looks like yet.
that's a really good
And
point.
I think that when she hits that, it's going to be something spectacular. I don't know if Robert Pattinson necessarily wants that, and I don't know if he'll take his career in that trajectory. I could see Zendaya doing more so that route of being like that, like almost like unobtainable level of stardom. That's just like you look at her in awe and not get bored with her. Kind of like a similar, like to it, like you said, a Brad Pitt, a Tom Cruise, like an Angelina Jolie type of thing, where it's just like every time you see them, it's just like, oh my gosh, like this is like what a spectacle, what a
Yeah.
presence. I think Robert Pattinson's gonna stay a little bit more low key than that, which
Mm.
isn't boring, but I'll probably end up seeing less Robert Pattinson things throughout my life.
Fair. Okay. There you have it. I think that's a legitimate perspective on the matter. One more, right? We got a question
I
from
got
Emmy to close us
my
out.
question from M, unrelated to anything we've talked about today.
Good.
Plain and simple, she wants to make you mad. She wants to know, who's your favorite dog?
Just like that.
Just like that.
Who's my favorite dog?
You got Poe and Lola. Which one's your favorite?
How could you?
Listen, I have no problem. My favorite dog is Benny, 100%.
Yeah, well, because you guys have a soul bond. It's
you can attempt to lawyer your way out of this one.
It's won't.
It's
It won't. There's your answer.
okay. Okay,
It
that's
won't.
all. I'll report that back. I'll report that back.
My favorite dog is Bullet.
Okay, you're bullet. That's it.
And that's messed up, dude.
I will let her know your thoughts on the matter. But she already knew your thoughts on the matter. So
she's just turning the screws on me right now.
Yep.
Fair.
Oh man.
Well,
I think that's
dude,
it. I think that's
I know everything I need to know now. All my questions have been answered. Before we get out of here, I want to just I need to check in, man. You've been in the schwitz. You've been working your butt off. For anybody who doesn't know, Austin is currently going through training in connection with his new career. This is the first time that we've spoken, really, aside from like scheduling stuff for the pod, since we last recorded for the pod a week ago. So I got to know, like, are there any TV shows, any movies, anything that you've read in the last week that's giving you any sense of like reprieve from the grind?
100%. Culinary Class Wars Season 2. Love a cooking show and have you seen Culinary Class Wars?
I have not.
So Season 1 came out last year. It's a Korean cooking show on Netflix, and basically the premise is there's two teams, a team of 20 white spoons who are like worldwide renowned chefs. Like we're talking like 3 Michelin star, like top of their craft chefs from all over the place. United States, Korea, China, whatever. And then you have, I believe it's like 80 black spoons, which are just varied level of experience. You have people from street vendors to, like sous chefs in Michelin star restaurants all over the place. And basically, cooking competition ensues for the black spoons to try to, beat the white spoons. It's totally classist and it's hilarious.
Karl Marx would love this.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Working class, rise up.
They don't even attempt to hide it. It's so funny. But also like the cooking in the show is like incredible. Like I've never seen a show like a cooking show with this much production value. It's phenomenal to watch.
I'll have to
And
check that out.
the second season
I
just
like a
came
good
out and
cooking
it's
show.
cool because the black spoons in this season are like even of higher caliber than the black spoons in season 1. Like we're talking like some of these people like own like 2-star Michelin restaurants, like are like they're like super like well-known renowned celebrity chefs, like Michelin star chefs. Like it's the competition is fierce, the cooking is incredible, it looks delicious. I just love it. I love it.
I'll have to check that out. I like a good like background cooking show every once in a while.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a good background show. End of the night, let's watch somebody make some pignon,
This was on Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay. My recommendation for the week is also from Netflix. Maddie and I a couple of nights ago watched The Rip, which is the new movie that just came out this past week, starring Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. They play like Miami Vice cops who their job is like to go and raid drug houses for like drug money, basically, and it follows their squad on like one of these jobs, and there's like questions of corruption like within the team, and a bunch of action and craziness ensues. Solid Netflix fare, great Damon Affleck hangout movie.
Love that.
But a lot of dumb characters and a lot of characters making dumb decisions in this movie. If you're looking for, like, honestly, I think kind of similar to Culinary Class Wars, like if you're looking for something to just kind of put on the background and entertain yourself for an hour or two, I think you'd enjoy it. If you like Affleck and Damon hanging out with each other, you'd probably enjoy it. But if you're coming here for a smart movie with like an interesting plot, it might not be for you. I gave this a 2.5 on Letterboxd, and of the movies I've seen so far this year, it is at the bottom of the list.
Okay.
Which reminds me, just before we close out, I do have to mention another movie that Maddie and I watched in the past week that is infinitely better than The Rip. Similar name and cast. Maddie and I watched for the first time The Talented Mr. Ripley, which is a movie from, I think it's 1999 maybe, starring a young Matt Damon, young Jude Law, young Gwyneth Paltrow, young Cate Blanchett. And holy cow, this movie is freaking awesome.
Been a long time
Matt
since
Damon,
I've seen that.
Yeah, you seen it?
I've seen, like years ago, watched it with my parents.
That sounds about right. Yeah, Matt Damon plays like a con man who basically like slowly takes over the life of the character played by Jude Law, who's like young guy, old money, just like living the dream on the Amalfi Coast in Italy, and Matt Damon just like worms his way into his life and kind of takes it over. Fantastic movie, also on Netflix. So big Matt Damon week over here at the Brownstein Kajala household.
Before we close out, just I haven't had the time to watch it yet, but like, have you seen the new Netflix series? Just came out, limited series with John Bernthal on Netflix.
I was not going to mention this, but we actually did start this show. Maddie and I did. We will not be finishing it.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of my fault too, because when we started it, I was like doing some other stuff. I was a little bit distracted, but I wasn't at the start. Like at the start, I was trying to give it my attention. And then within about like 15 minutes or so, I found myself I just wasn't very engaged with it. And
dang, man,
interesting cast. I just couldn't like latch onto it. And same with Maddie too. Like it's it's like another Netflix show, right? Like it just wasn't doing anything special.
That sucks because it's John Bernthal and Tiana Paris, right?
Tessa Thompson.
Oh, Tessa Thompson. Yeah, Tessa
Yeah.
Thompson. And yeah,
Right.
no, I just saw that immediately and I was like, oh, like this seems like kind of cool. But man, that's disappointing to hear. That is disappointing
I
to
mean,
hear.
honestly, like again, like we fell off of it because it wasn't holding our attention, but we also like maybe there's something to be said for like really trying to lock into it for the first episode and like see how you feel after that.
Fair.
But I don't know. It's just in this day and age where there's like a new show or new movie that we want to watch like every week, it's hard to stay up on everything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, I probably won't get around to it. So
Hey.
I'm glad that you talked me out of it.
Check out The Rip before you check out His and Hers.
Okay.
That'd be my rec. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we did a podcast here. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah. So I want to just say, hey, thank you. You right there. I'm talking to you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for being here on this episode of Between Two Batcaves. We want to hear from you guys. We are desperate to hear from you guys. Hit us up on the socials. We are on all socials everywhere at Between Two Batcaves with the number 2, with the exception of the app formerly known as Twitter, where we can be found at B2 Batcaves. If you want to see our beautiful faces, check us out on YouTube and TikTok, again, at Between Two Batcaves. And if you're on Spotify, you can watch us on video, so check us out. Please, if you're on YouTube, subscribe and ring that bell. It means a lot to us. It really helps us out on our end, and we want to know what you guys are thinking. So leave us some comments. Are there any burning questions that you have that you would like to hear us answer? Do you think that any of our answers to our burning questions were wrong? I'm sure you will. Please let us know. And yeah, like with Night of the Seven Kingdoms coming out, if you're listening to this episode, it's already out. The first episode is. Do you want us to cover it? How do you want us to cover it? If so, how? Because we want to know what you guys think.
Figuring that out for ourselves.
Yeah. Tell us what to do.
Yeah, quick reminder here before you close out of the podcast app of your choice to rate, review, and share the show. We will be back next week doing something. Maybe some Night of the Seven Kingdoms talk. Like I said, we got to figure that out behind the scenes here, but we definitely want to watch it and at least get into it.
I'll definitely
be
watching it. Yeah.
Week. So look forward to that next week. A little dive into the Game of Thrones universe. So until then, from our Batcaves to yours, thanks for hanging with us, and we will see you next time.
See you.